Speaking of, the scandal in New South Wales. It's just getting worse for New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian and for the reputation of the New South Wales Parliament, as well as for the reputation of the New South Wales Liberals. How could Berejiklian have a 5-year affair, a secret affair, with such a total sleaze as Daryl Maguire? And how can a man so apparently corrupt have been a Liberal Member of Parliament for so long? And it doesn't even matter if he wasn't even that good at being corrupt, as the Premier today tried to suggest, that he was as hopeless as he was greedy.
Imagine knowing someone for 15 years, someone who we trusted, did the wrong thing by all of us, but he didn't get his way because all of us put our jobs first and put the people first.
The fact is, Maguire seemed as relentless in turning his job as an MP into a money-making operation for himself, as relentless as, I don't know what, Donald Trump, I don't know. His evidence today in the witness stand of the Independent Commission Against Corruption would make honest people sick and should make anyone wonder, how could his lover, Berejiklian, have suspected nothing? I mean, here's just the list of the rorting and the sleazing and the apparently corrupt schemes that Maguire admitted to today after being confronted by tapes of his bug conversation over the years. This man, as an MP, admitted that his office charged Chinese investors after he arranged a meeting with then Premier Barry O'Farrell, who knew nothing about any cash for access, by the way. Maguire also admitted to running a rort, getting $20,000 a pop for selling visas to foreign students. He admitted to unlawfully turning his parliamentary office into a business office, to helping developers for money, and to using his job as chair of the New South Wales Parliamentary Asia Pacific Friendship Group, sounded so noble, actually using that to promote his own business interests overseas, like an investment in a casino, a proposed casino in Samoa. It's just extraordinary. Here's just a taste of what this man was up to. A politician paid by the public to represent voters, but instead feathering his own nest, abusing his position, selling access, running his company, Gateway International, from his parliamentary office and without declaring all his vested interests.
Do you agree that on more than one occasion you received deliveries in your Parliament House office of thousands of dollars in cash associated with a scheme involving the obtaining of Australian visas for Chinese nationals?
Yes.
And I take it that you understood at the time that you weren't permitted to use your Parliament House office, or for that matter your parliamentary staff and resources, in the way that you did for the benefit of, for example, Gateway International.
Yes.
Right? And so do you agree that one of the things that Gateway International was seeking to sell as part of its international business network was influence and experience that would reach to high levels of government, at least in Australia?
Yes.
There was just so much of it. I can't even play it all. And it was so flagrant. I mean, let me play you one thing. A recording played today, bugged recording of a conversation he had with his friend and business mate, recorded by anti-corruption investigators, saying that as chair of the New South Wales Parliamentary Asia Pacific Friendship Group, he was going to meet the Prime Minister of Samoa, to which his partner responds, well, this is going to mean money for us.
They were happy with the meeting. So in February, I'm going to Solomon Islands and PNG. So we're going to visit them in the next round. And then March is, after the wedding, 10 days in Samoa. And they're bringing a dozen business people. They're bringing their own jet and calling in here and then going to Samoa and then come back to drop us off on the way back.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. So we're just teeing up some meetings for the Prime Minister and all those other people. So Samoa is definitely a go.
That's good. We need a result.
So which is really good.
Result. Got to get a bit of cash flow back in the tin.
Okay, let's first note what no one can deny. I mean, this paints a picture of rottenness, of political sleaze that should disgust any person with integrity. And to think how many politicians now from both sides of New South Wales politics have been corrupt, some in jail. How can you keep your faith in politics in that state? But to the Premier. There was so much of this rorting going on by Maguire that you have to wonder how the Premier never twigged to what her boyfriend was up to. And that's her story. She was just misled by a man she trusted. Another poor woman, betrayed in love by a bad man. I wonder whether a male Premier would get away with that excuse, blaming a wicked woman for blinding him to all her corruption, that Jezebel. I don't think we'd buy that. But Berejiklian today felt confident enough that the public was buying into her story, that she, so confident, in fact, she finally turned on the journalists who've been bombarding her with questions.
I have been honestly overwhelmed and sustained by the support the people of this state have shown me in the last few days, and I'll repay that by continuing to work for you, to be your #1 advocate, to keep you safe, to keep you employed. That is my job. It is my honour and privilege to do it every day that I come to work. And my message, excuse me, let me finish. Let me finish, okay? I've given you your turn for the last 3 days, let me finish.
But the trouble is that Berejiklian's story, that she had no idea that this man was abusing his office to make money, is getting harder to believe. It might be true, but I tell you, yesterday, for instance, in ICAC, the Premier claimed not to know the property developer on the left, Crown Group Chairman Iwan Sunito, who she cut a ribbon with in 2017 when her boyfriend mentioned his apparent client to her annoyance in a bug phone call 3 months later.
Apart from that, things are good. I introduced my little friend to them. You know my little friend?
Not really. Don't worry.
You do?
I don't need to know. Which little friend are you talking about?
With the polished head. And so he was down there. I introduced him, which was good. You don't need to know what for, but...
And she was asked by the council assisting, did you actually know this Sunito guy? Oh, no, I don't know that. Oh, okay. Another thing. Berejiklian said she deleted an email, an irregular one, she called it, like she actually knew it was wrong to get it, from a Louise Waterhouse who wanted to develop and sell her property at Badgerys Creek in a deal that would have earned Maguire, had it gone through, hundreds of thousands of dollars as his little take. And one reason that Berejiklian might have thought that email irregular was that her boyfriend, Maguire, had warned her to expect exactly that email to pop up in her inbox, again in a conversation that had been bugged.
Did you get an email from Louise Waterhouse?
Nope.
You will. She'll send you an email. She's really pissed off now. So, about the airport, they're all passing the buck. So RMS is saying, no, it's the federal government's plan and we have to deliver on it. Federal government's saying, no, RMS are in charge of the road. It's going around in circles.
So there's the boyfriend saying, expect an email from Louise Waterhouse. Berejiklian then deleted it, thought it irregular, but never asked Maguire, what are you doing? And is it illegal? Never got him to report his conflict of interest, never reported it herself, him being her intimate partner and all. Now, if there's one mercy for the Premier today, Maguire never said she did know what he was doing. But then again, he wasn't exactly asked, and there's a day or two of examination to go. Who knows what will come? But I have to say that what we heard today was enough to make you sick with disgust.